Look on the left. Take your eye to the top of that building. Can you see the temple?
Yeah.
Look at the Corinthian columns. Look at that gorgeous entryway. Have you been to Paris?
Yes.
You know the style. That building is French. It's French Beaux-Arts. The building dates back to 1923 and the architect's name is Alfred Ausschuler. Here's where it gets weird. Guess who bought the building? The Hilton Hotel. And they converted an office building into a boutique hotel. There's a bar on top called the London House. The views are amazing. Look up at the temple. You can have supper in that temple. It seats 15 people. Bring your credit card. Now, do a hard left. On the corner is Art Deco. The building was built in 1928. Whenever I say Art Deco, you'll see a building with vertical orientation, setbacks, and geometric shapes. That is Art Deco. Okay, now, my favorite building in the world is the Wrigley Building. What style is it? French. Where was it built? 1921. That's the first air-conditioned building on Michigan Avenue. There are 250,000 terracotta plates on the outside. It was deemed fireproof. That building is my all-time favorite. Now, don't hurt your neck. Look up. Ladies and gentlemen, feast your eyes on our Trump International Hotel and Tower. The building dates back to 2009. How tall is it? 1,362 feet. If you're from Europe, 415 meters. That is the third tallest building in the United, it's the seventh tallest building in the United States, the second tallest in the city of Chicago. I like details, and I know this is boring. 704 million pounds of concrete, 28,000 truckloads, 27 elevators. The building has a penthouse on top. It's for sale. How much is it? 30 million. How many square feet do you get?
You can buy it.
6,000. Trump International Hotel and Tower was designed by my favorite designer, Adrian Smith, and he designed the tallest building in the world. If you're from Germany, the next architect is from Germany. His name is Mies van der Rohe. His philosophy is simplicity. Less is more. Take a look. If you have a cell phone, take it out. Take a picture of the most photographed building in the city of Chicago. If you're from Chicago, you call that building what? The Corn Cobs. The building is by Bertrand Goldberg. If you live in that building, all of your rooms are the shape of a piece of pie. So when you walk in, it gets wider as you go out. The building is amazing. It's made out of concrete. There are two of them, and Bertrand Goldberg's philosophy is there are no right angles in nature. All of his buildings are round. Any architects on board? No architects? Good.
Wow.
I say this affectionately, they are strange.
Very high.
Look at the 17 rows of parking. Are you ready for a factoid? Only 2 cars have ever fallen off the parking lot. Does anybody on the boat remember Steve McQueen? During his last film, they pushed the 1979 Pontiac off the 17th floor into the water. That was his last film in 1980. Okay, come over here quick. I know this is a bit boring. The building on the right is how tall you must be to be a skyscraper. How tall is it? 500 feet. How many stories? 35. That's the American Bar Association. Here's where it gets weird. We have 129 buildings that tall or taller. Ladies and gentlemen, I know many of you are from around the world. Let me tell you something. You will never find a more beautiful city than the city of Chicago architecturally. Nothing compares to this city. Also a Lions fan. I know, they almost made it. Okay, all right, come over here. If you're a student, take a look on top of this building. There's a clock. That's how people knew what time to get to work. Guys, That's the last remaining warehouse on the main branch. And guess what it has inside it? Otis Elevator put one of their first elevators in that building. Without an elevator, you don't have a skyscraper. That's the Reed Murdoch Center. Your architect is Nimmons. Any engineers on board? Raise your hand if you're an engineer. Oh, I love to talk to engineers. Guess what? The next building is going to drive you nuts. It has no air conditioning. It was built in 2009. Guess what cools this building? River water. And the water comes back cleaner and cooler than what went in. The architect is Picard and Chilton. He received a Platinum LEED Award for being energy efficient. On top of that building is a garden that helps mitigate water. Last summer I was doing a tour.
Steakhouse.
I asked the question, are there any engineers on my boat? 27 people raised their hand.
Chicago hand.
I said, this is going to be a great tour. I love talking to engineers. They said, we're software engineers. Which I thought was quite interesting. On the right side, let me see how smart you are. What style is that building? Yeah, Art Deco is correct. The building was built in 1930. That's the merchandise mart. Ladies and gentlemen, that building is the second largest concrete office structure in the United States. What's the largest? Pentagon is correct. How big is that Pentagon? The Pentagon is 6.2 million square feet. This is 4.2. I'll let you redeem yourself. How many bathrooms in the Pentagon? That is not correct. 286. Useless information. That building is now 500 showrooms for furniture and apparel, and guess who owned it? Joseph Kennedy. How much did he pay for the building? $13 million. Guess what he sold it for? $595 billion. Now, come over here. This is Wolf Point. 700 feet, Clark Pelly Clark. In the middle, 900 feet, Pelly Clark Pelly. Guess what? That building is concrete. That will be residential. The building in the middle is made out of steel. That will be commercial. And oh, by the way, in case you don't know, in 1837, 4,000 people lived there, and we get the name Chicago. What does the word Chicago mean? Who said corruption? That is not true. It means garlicky onions. Well done. This was a swamp. All the onions grew right here. Our real name is Chicagoa or Chicago. Look at this. Look at that beautiful structure in front of that building. That's River Point, 51 stories. Santiago Caltrava designed that structure. Now, we're on the north branch. It's going to be windy. Zip your jackets up. The weirdest building on your tour is on your left. Take a look. Everybody that lives in that building lives on this side. The building was built in 2002. James DeStefano is your architect. Take a look. Townhouses on the bottom, then parking, and then condominiums. If you drive a car and live in that building, you cannot park it yourself. You drive your car into an elevator. The elevator valets it for you. One parking spot will cost you $50,000.
Oh.
Look up at the condos. They all paid for a view. Look at me. Look what they built in front of their view. You pay for a view, look around you. I've lived in cities my entire life. If you pay for a view, make sure you look around you. Now, come over here. I'm a warehouse nut. The Fulton House, Cole Stories, built 1890. 1988, they converted to condominiums. Because it was Cole Stories, all the ceilings and walls are 3 foot thick. That's the quietest condo in the city. Cell phone reception is horrible. This is our Chicago River cottages. There are 4 of them. They date back to 1988. Harry Weiss is the architect. Are you ready? The original owners still live there.
Wow.
Except that one sold last year for $2.7 million. Now, the most profitable health club in the United States is on your right. 1979, Levin and Gordon is the architect. I know you know Michael Jordan's name. He was a member along with Barack Obama. And by the way, that building has its back to the river because the river stunk in 1979. Okay, I gotta bring my voice down. The people on the left get a harsh echo from tourists. So we're not supposed to talk. I don't care. Listen carefully. Take your eye to the top of those houses. Can you see the patio? Bring your eye down to the patio coming off your kitchen. And when you walk into your townhouse, you're walking into your library. Guys, this is Kinsey Park. Kinsey Park is 70 row houses. They were built in 2002. They were designed by Papa George and Haynes. Check this out. They cost 1.2 million and all 70 sold before one was built. The entire development. Look at that beautiful artwork. Here's where it gets a little weird. That's the only riverwalk in Chicago that is closed to the public at night to walk on that riverwalk. And by the way, during the day, you got to sign in. Now, I do this quickly. See this green bridge house? Before the mid-60s, if you were the bridge tender in the bridge house, you lived there. It was just like a lighthouse. All the families lived in the bridge house, and you open and close the bridge 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Come on the right. I love this building too. This is a typical Chicago River loft. Now, when was it built?
Wow.
1912. The architect is Nimitz. It was it was a printing warehouse. Now, what's a loft? About 11 or 1,200 square feet, completely open. The only room that's cordoned off is your bathroom. This building, if you live on the first or second floor, you have 4 fireplaces. If you live above that, you have none. That's how they heated the building. Now, my most difficult question. Does anybody on my boat remember the catalog company of Montgomery Ward? Raise your hand. Oh, we have a nice mature audience. Montgomery Ward started his catalog company in Chicago, and this is Ward's Park. This is hard to see. Look at the water tower, and look at the building beyond the water tower. That's the Montgomery, built in 1974. The architect's name is Minoru Yamasaki, and he also designed the World Trade Centers in New York. Now, I had a chat with one of our guests. I was doing a tour, probably a year and a half ago. I was doing a private event for a corporation, and I kept asking questions, and one guy kept answering all the questions. And he was a 3-time Jeopardy champion, and he was on my boat. These 2 buildings on the right are German industrial designed by Lucien Lagrange, Kingsbury on the park, and Erie on the park. So when I asked the question, who designed that building, he said Minoru Yamasaki. So he knew exactly what we were talking about. Now, look at this. They're actually in our parks, they're adding doggy parks. Take a look. That little fenced in area is a doggy park. If you want to meet 20 people very quickly, get a dog. Yeah, I know. It's amazing. And by the way out, this is not on the tour, and I apologize if this is a little boring, but way out on the right side, can you see the tall black building? That's the John Hancock. I bring it up for 3 reasons. One, the antennas do not count in the height. They are removable. Number 2, there's an observatory on top of the building called the 360. There used to be a bar up there. It closed, called the Signature Lounge. Beautiful building by Skidmore Owings Merrill. Condominiums on the right. You're on the north branch of the Chicago River. This is an old warehouse, Montgomery Ward's warehouse on the right. They closed it and they converted this all to condos. It is Art Deco. The architect is Macaulay, and in this case, they pulled the patios off the building. All the ceilings are 16 feet. I have a friend in this building. His kitchen's wall is made out of what?
Concrete.
Pink terracotta brick. So brick, hardwood floors are these old warehouses, and that is also Art Deco. One of our bridges coming up, it's brand new. I don't like it. They actually tore down the old Chicago Bridge and put this thing up. I hope they paint it so it looks like the rest of our bridges. And of course, look on the right. Oh, this is, I forgot about this. Do a hard right quick. There's a beautiful statue, Progress Light the World by J.C. Mulligan on the right side. And this is Montgomery Ward's first warehouse. Where was it built? 1906. The architects are Schmidt, Gardner, and Martin. Take a look at that beautiful building. If you've ever sung the song Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, it was created in that building in 1939. Montgomery Ward's marketing department came up with the song Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It wasn't a song, it was a poem. What singer converted that poem to a song in 1942? Uh-oh. Anybody remember Gene Autry?
Gene Autry.
Gene Autry converted that poem to a song. And this is Goose Island. They're going to build, check this out, 3 mid-rises. And there's Kendall College. It was a culinary school before the pandemic, and they closed it. I'm bummed.
So sad.
Every month, the new chefs would offer a 5-course meal for $25.
Wow.
My wife and I would go. Sometimes it was wonderful.
Others.
Now, I know this is weird. Take a look at this building quick. Can you see how long it is?
Yeah.
Why'd they build it so long?
Why?
Montgomery Ward was into efficiency. Ladies and gentlemen, if you worked in that building in 1912, this is what you wore to work. Black slacks, white shirt, black bow tie. And everybody that worked in that building wore roller skates. And that's how they picked the orders. If you worked for Montgomery Ward in 1912, you donned roller skate. And if you did not know how to roller skate, guess what he did? He taught you. He had a class. You picked your items with roller skates. Now, for my Chicagoans, here's your new Bally's Casino. This is where they're going to build our new Bally's Casino, right here on this piece of land. This was where they print the Tribune, the Wall Street Journal, the Chicago Sun-Times. They are moving, and our new casino will be on this end of town. We are on the north branch of the Chicago River. Is that the sun? Are you guys okay?
Yeah.
You guys are doing quite well today. I'm proud of you. This is kind of weird. This building on the right was built in 1988. It was voted the second ugliest building on the Chicago River in 1998. Take a look. I'll show you the ugliest on your tour. Okay, if you want to go down and get a coffee, a hot chocolate, I'm going to give you a history lesson now as we go out to the south branch of the Chicago River. Let me take you all back to the year 1679. Jacques Marquette, Louis Joliet discovered Chicago. They were coming up from the Mississippi. They hit Lake Michigan, and on their map they wrote, "We just hit the Atlantic Ocean." The Native Americans said, "Hey, that's not an ocean, that's a lake." It drives me crazy. I was raised in Berkeley, California back in the 50s, always near the water. Today I live downtown Chicago. I like to run in the morning. I always run along the lake. It looks like the ocean to me, and I'm taking you out to the lake on this tour. 1779 is our first citizen. What's his name?
Don't know.
Excellent work, sir. You're on your way to becoming a tour guide. Jean-Baptiste Dusable, a
Yeah.
Haitian man. He spoke French and English. He married a Native American, made a fortune fur trading. 1803 is Fort Dearborn, the first star on the Chicago flag. 1837, we're a city, Chicago. The rail comes in. Our population booms to about 1.3 million, 300,000. And then on October the 8th, 1871, the Great Chicago Fire. Where did it start? Anybody remember? Mrs. O'Leary's barn, they say a cow knocked over a lantern. It ain't true. It was a lightning strike. I don't care, the city burnt to the ground. They pushed all the rubble into the lake and started all over. By 1890, our population was 1.3 million. I have a question. What's the population of the city of Chicago today?
No.
How many?
Don't know.
I like where you're headed.
You know.
2.7 is our
2.7.
population. By the way, New York, 8.8.
Wow.
Los Angeles 3.9. Chicago 2.7.
It's
Question:
small.
what city is going to overtake Chicago? Houston, Texas is correct. In the last 18,
Wow.
look at you. In the last 18 years, the state of Texas population has gone up about 5 million. Guess who's selling their houses and going to Texas? Californians. They are indeed. We
California
wanted to
will
show
be
off our
less
city, so we put
population.
in for the World's Fair of 1893. We got the fair over New York. They were not happy. They called our politicians windbags. And that's where you get the name, the Windy City. It's not our wind speed. It's our politicians. Can you believe that? Our wind speed in Chicago is about 10.2 miles an hour. Guess where the windiest city in fact, I just read this. New York's wind speed is 12, San Francisco's 11.8, Seattle is sitting at about 10.9, Wichita, Kansas is 16. Where is the windiest city in the United States last year with a wind speed of 16.2? It's in the state of Texas. Amarillo, Texas is the windiest city in the United States. By the way, I study wind speeds. I study population growth. I study elevators and warehouses. Tell me why. I have time. 28 million people came to the World's Fair to see two things. What were they? Who said Ferris wheel? The first Ferris wheel ever built was built in Chicago for the World's Fair of 1893. What else did they come to see? Who said electricity? Electricity is correct. What scientist lit up the White City using alternating current? Nikola Tesla is correct. Remember, Edison liked direct current. By the way, what did Nikola Tesla eat every day? Saltine crackers. Useless information, folks. The third star on the Chicago flag is the World's Fair of 1893. And the fourth star is the World's Fair of 1933. So the four red stars are Fort, Fire, Fair, Fair. They all start with the letter F. Fort, Fire, Fair, Fair. You're doing quite well. Okay, are you okay?
Yeah.
Don't worry, we'll take a break in about 15 minutes, but as we go underneath this bridge, there are 37 bridges in the city of Chicago. Look at my hand. They all open up like this in the middle. Let me see how smart you are. There's only one city in the world that has more bridges than Chicago that open. That city's in Europe. What's the name of it? Amsterdam is correct. How many bridges open in Amsterdam?
Don't know.
How many? 101.
Wow.
100. I like 100. 101 bridges. Pittsburgh,
Wow.
Pennsylvania has 442 bridges. Hamburg,
Amsterdam.
Germany, 1,004.
Holland.
Can you believe that? I study bridges. Tell me
Amsterdam,
why.
beautiful. I've been
I
there.
have time. I've got all kinds of time. Now, what letter in the alphabet denotes Chicago?
Yeah.
Not the letter C. Look on the fence. It's the letter Y. The main branch, the south branch, and the north branch of the Chicago River. Now, I've been doing something different on my tour. Look at this. Look at how beautiful this is. Look at the architecture. Take a look.
Yeah.
1912 is the red building. Just beautiful. I gotta get the date on the green one. Don't worry, I will. Let's do something different. Look way out in the distance on the left. Can you see that green building?
Yeah.
Can you see the hole on the 83rd floor?
Yeah.
That is a mistake.
Right.
Look at my hand. The building was going like this in the wind, so they took 2 floors out so the wind could go through the building. Yeah, the building is called the St. Regis. Now, come over here quick. If you think that is strange, you're not going to believe this. Look at the red building on the right. There are 300 condominiums in that building. For 75 years, they had a view of the river. They could not build a skyscraper on that piece of land because the piece of land is too narrow. Look what they did. They built a building with a very narrow bottom and a very wide top. The architect's name is Gesh. The building is 54 stories, and don't miss this. Take a look. Look at the bottom of the building, how narrow it is. Look up at the 54 stories. Tell me this. What is on top of that building to keep it from going like this? You said water. Excellent work. How many silos? You should know this.
Oh, for the
6 silos on wheels, 160,000 gallons of water. When the building goes like this, the water goes like that, and it keeps the building upright. Are you kidding me? Amazing. They took the view away from 300 condominiums. Now, on the right side, a river otter lives there. And oh yeah, right now we are sitting 903 miles from New Orleans. New Orleans is this way. If the captain wanted to, I could take the entire boat to New Orleans. You want to go?
yeah.
It'll take us 4 weeks to get there.
Yeah.
Now I know this is boring. I've been told that by 1,000 people. I don't care.
River.
This building drives me crazy.
River.
There are no caissons underneath these 13 stories. Why? The railroad switches their engines out underneath the building, and the entire building is held up using a steel truss. The building was built in 1990. The architect is Picard. No, excuse me. The architect is Picard for children. I gotta get these architects to get it right. I get my first day back. The building, though, you can see the steel truss on that building. Take a look. Isn't that amazing? The entire building is held up using a steel truss. Now, on the right, Perkins and Will is the architect. You just
Oh, that's a good picture.
on the right side is Halliburton Roof. What
you.
style is that building? Oh no. You should know this. It is architect.
Maybe.
Yeah, the building was done in 1923. I had 70 interior decorators on my boat one day. Guess what they liked about that building? All the lamps. Yeah, it's amazing. Hello, folks. How we doing? A couple of graduates, Navy Academy. And of course, on the right side is a beautiful building. Not many architect tour guides talk about it, but that building, the glass building, is done by Helmut Johann. What did he want that building to look like? I know many of you won't remember what these look like, but he wanted it to look like a cash register. For those of you who don't remember a cash register, you pushed a button and a drawer came out. We're on the south branch of the Chicago River. Hello, young man. Look at these guys working today on a nice Saturday. Hey, guys. Now, all of these buildings, 1965, 1967, and of course, 1971. And look at the rail is coming in underneath the buildings. All right, you're doing quite well. I have 8 questions. How deep is the river?
I don't know.
22 feet.
Uh-huh.
How many different fish in the river?
No, no.
70.
Oh,
What's the
wow.
population of Chicago? 2.7
2.7
is correct.
million,
How
yeah.
tall do you have to be a skyscraper? 500 feet
Oh.
is correct. How many stories is 500 feet? 35 is correct.
Oh, no.
Excellent work. What does the word Chicago mean? Stinky onions is correct. You're doing
Oh.
quite well. I'm
Oh.
giving you a B minus. Okay. Osler Khan from Bangladesh designed the building on the right. The building has X bracing just like the John Hancock. This was an old stock trading floor. The stock traders have left. This is so weird. They converted the
Illinois
building.
University.
They built this huge fitness center, but they built the fitness center right next to a donut shop.
Đó Ah.
So strange. And of course, this bridge here
Very
was
big.
designed after a bridge in
They're
Paris.
very big.
Okay, we're on the south branch of the Chicago River. We're going all the way to Chinatown, which I love. Now, coming up on the right is a building by James DeStefano, 1983, that bends with the river. They call that contextualism. I never talked about the building on the left, and then they drew a map of the Chicago River on the side of it. That red dot is where
Yeah.
you're at on the river right now. Isn't that weird? And of course, coming up on the right is that beautiful Chicago River Post Office, the City of Chicago Post Office. When was it built? 1930.
Thank you.
When did it close? 1996. It is Art Deco. Today, that entire building is all office space. The architect is Graham Anderson Probst and White. Just a beautiful building. Uber is in there along with different companies. In case you're wondering, Chicago's office space now is back to about 65% full. Yeah. So, if you look on the left side, my favorite, by the way, that's my favorite picture of the Sears Tower. If you have a cell phone, quickly take the picture. Love it, love it, love it. The pink building, beautiful building. The building is one of the tallest buildings
This is
in the world. It
building
does not
tower
have a
here.
name. The building was built in 1990.
Wow.
Just absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Cone, Pedersen, and Potts is your architect on the big building. Now I know I'm going to push you a little bit, and I apologize. But my favorite Art Deco building on the planet is coming up on the left, and this is gorgeous. And I know it's hard to see, and I apologize for that. But look at this. Look on the left side. Can you see the building with a statue on top? That is the Chicago Board of Trade. The statue is Ceres, goddess of agriculture. She has no face. Why? The architect said no one will ever build a building tall enough to see her face. The architect is Halliburton Group. What a beautiful building. The Chicago Board of Trade. Yeah, you're doing quite well. Okay, where are we? Our city is expanding, going this way. Take a look. This is called the Southwest Loop. Perkins and Will designed that building, and that building. And this is called the South Bank. I had two couples on my boat. They live in that building. It's called the Cooper. I have a question. They're both renting one bedroom, one bath apartments. 607 square feet. What's one of the largest rooms in their apartment? Not the bathroom. Who said the closet? That is correct. They all have walk-in closets. I sit with architects all the time. They study your demographics. You like walk-in closets. Galley kitchens. Yeah, good-sized living rooms. It's amazing. This is the foundation for the Grand Central Station. Take a look. Amazing, absolutely amazing. We're on the south branch of the Chicago River. Now, if you were listening, you will know the answer to this question. You ready? What's the architect's name that designed the round building? You've already seen one of his buildings. Who said the corncob guy? That is correct. He has a name. What's his name? His name is Bertrand Goldberg. And he designed that building. And oh yeah, this is called River City. When was it built? 1988. He lived in that building. How many German Shepherds did he own? One. By the way, he was on my boat. That's the only reason I know. And by the way, you can have a boat underneath the building.
Yeah.
Now, Mrs. O'Leary's barn. Come over here. The Great Chicago Fire started in Mrs. O'Leary's barn. And her barn would be on the right-hand side. We don't think it was a cow knocking over a lantern. We think it was a lightning strike. But here's the real deal. 17,000 buildings were destroyed. 100,000 people were homeless. 300 people died during that fire.
Wow.
We know it was a lightning strike because in Peshtigo, Wisconsin, on the same night they had a fire. 2,500 people died in their fire. It was a horrific fire. They also had a fire in Port Huron, Michigan. So this is where the Great Chicago Fire started. By the way, this is an old pump station for the rail on the right, the building with the two black smokestacks, meaning it was a booster station to get the rail out of town. It's for sale. What do the new owners want to make it? You should know this. Oh, not condos. Who said brewery? You rascal, you. Well done. A microbrewery is correct. And it went under because of the pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, the pandemic hit Chicago. I gotta show you something, and I know this is kind of weird. Skyscraper, all townhouses, all came to a stop when the pandemic hit Chicago. Southwest Loop, Roosevelt Collection, condos and apartments. I live downtown by about 3 blocks west of the Hancock. We come to this side of town all the time. It's beautiful. One of our favorite yarn stores is on this side. We were sheltered in place for 5 months in Chicago. What did my wife teach me to do? She taught me how to knit. During that 5 months, I knitted 59 scarves. We gave them to the kids on the south side. We now knit stocking caps. Yeah, so I'm a full-fledged knitter. By the way, this city is growing this way. Have you read in the paper that the Chicago White Sox want to open up and build a new stadium right here on the 78th? So they want to close their stadium, make that a soccer field, and open up a new stadium. I don't know how far it's going to go for my Chicagoans, but this is what they want to do. This is called the 78. Now, the railroad's got 42 acres on this side. Okay, take a look. And if you look right over my head, you'll see 2 bridges, and they used to span the South Branch. This is the South Branch of the city of Chicago. We're about to take our break. Before we do, let's talk about a few more points and then we'll relax. I've got to sort of, this is my first tour of the season. I'm trying to remember all this stuff, but if you've ever been to McDonald's started their franchise business here in 1955, the Golden Arches. By the way, I think the first restaurant was in Des Plaines. Here's a question for you. What's the only city in the United States where the Golden Arches are not gold, they're green?
You want a hot chocolate?
Sedona, Arizona is correct. The only color they allow on their signage is green. If you have a cell phone in your hand, you can thank Chicago. The first cell phone ever made was made in Chicago in 1973 by what company? Motorola. How much did that weigh? That first cell phone weighed 2.5 pounds. How much did it cost? $4,000. If you talked on that cell phone for just 1 hour, your bill would be $2,000. The first cell phone call ever made in the United States was made from Manhattan to New Jersey. Who did he call? He called the CEO of AT&T, and he said, "I beat you." Yeah, it's a true story. Amazing. The Hostess Twinkie came out of Chicago. What is the shelf life of a Twinkie?
5 years.
Forever. What else can I tell you? Yeah, the city of Chicago is absolutely amazing. Now, as we go this way, we're on this beautiful South Branch of the Chicago River, and I wasn't kidding. The river now flows to the Mississippi and out the Gulf of Mexico. And again, take a look. Now, Lake Michigan is 5 blocks that way. Just absolutely perfect. The southwest loop of the city of Chicago. Okay, you guys have hung in there quite well. I'll give you 2 more points, then I'm going to take our break. All the meat packing came